Hello, everybody. Good evening. How are you guys doing? Okay. So I think it's almost 3 to 4 days after which I'm coming online. Yeah, because I thought instead of playing a game today, we'll have a good discussion on the ongoing FIDE World Cup. You guys heard about FIDE World Cup? Everybody, good evening. Are you guys aware about the FIDE World Cup? Yeah. Okay, that's going on in Goa. I think there is website. I don't know if you guys heard about it, but chessbase.com. Okay, let me share my screen. So okay, so I'm just sharing a screen in case you know. Um, can you guys just type if you can see it? Hi Nihal, good evening. You guys can see my screen on the Chessbase India. So here, if you see, right, if you, in fact, not chessbase.com, but chessbase.in. Okay, if you go here, guys, this is where you get all the news about the chess, especially in going to look into is between where his China and Arjun Irigasi, who is India's number one right now. Current as per the rank rating, Arjun Irigasi is currently India's number one, and VA, right, or YA, he's the China's number one. Very strong player, both of them. So we wanna see a fantastic tiebreaker game in the rapid format, which was the first game, I think, and they ended up in a draw. A fantastic game. Here, I'm gonna explain step by step what they're doing, and you will understand many aspect of the game. So let me directly go and share screen. Can you guys type in the comment? Are you able to see it? So I see Nihal and anybody else is there. So you can just type quickly. Yes, sir, we can see. Okay, Nihal, I can see. You can see the screen. Okay, how about others? Are you guys able to see that? Okay, chalo. So what we will do, we will quickly analyze and maybe in the end, if we have time, we'll play the game. So here, if you see, so this way his current rating is 2752. All right, this is the rapid rating, of course, because this game what we are going to show is a 15 plus 10 tiebreaker game, and Arjun is 2769. So here, if you see, Way started with pawn to e4. I think most of you play pawn to e4, right? So he started with pawn to e4, and typically e5 is one of the moves. But here Arjun played with e6. Which opening do we call that? Do you guys know? Can you type quickly? Which opening is this? E4, e6. Yeah, okay. Great. So good response. So this is called French defense, a very powerful opening from the black side. Okay. I think in this tournament, whatever the games I have seen, Arjun has played for the first time French defense, right? None of his games earlier in this FIDE World Cup, he played French. So I think he came up with this strategy so as to probably, a little bit surprised, not really surprised, but to play a little different and come prepared. Oh, sorry. Then where I played D4, which is normal D5, and here, of course, you can go for many variations whenever within the French. Here, so knight to C3, and again there is an exchange that you can do, but most of the guys they don't do. They develop knight to F6. That is a main line, and here he went for advance. Okay, this is the advanced variation of French defense e5. So basically you're attacking the knight, and the knight has couple of moves. If you see, right, you can identify knight d7 and maybe knight e4. Knight e4 really doesn't look that strong, right? It just you capture and then the black capture, and this pawn is really difficult to defend later on for the black. So the black normally don't go for any 4, but the very normal move any 7. Of course, you don't want to go back, right, to where you started. So knight to e4 would be a good move. Sorry, knight to e7 will be a good move after he plays e5. And then you go with typically f4. So you start advancing and then develop knight to f3, and you create a strong pawn structure, right, within the center. And then here, typically sometimes he just goes for c5, aggressive attack on the center from the black side. This is a very normal move and very aggressive. And you will see that c5. And now this is where the thing as a white, right? And at our level, I'm talking about here. What do we do? We typically develop the knight, correct? And in case he captures, we centralize the knight. Or you can develop the bishop, even if you see engine, right? And I will switch off the engine for the timing. We don't need that. So typically we play bishop to e3, but here surprisingly we come with different move. I mean, of course, nf3, and then after bishop to e7, typically we develop bishop, right? Here e3 or d3, but then he plays that. So there is this charm. So here first he took that. See, if you really want to centralize the bishop, right? Bishop to d3, so that we really control both the diagonals, which is typically what we want to do. But you can't immediately sometimes play bishop to d3 because of the c4. And then again, you have to retreat the bishop, right? And that's not the correct way. So before you really want to centralize bishop to d3, one of the ideas is you just take it. Correct. I think that's what even Wei has done here. So you take it, bishop into, sorry, d into c5, and now you can arams, right? You can definitely play bishop to d3. Do you guys, are you guys understanding? Just type yes or no, everybody. You understanding why bishop to d3? Before you play bishop to d3, it was important to capture d into c5. Yeah, Nihal, everyone who are watching, are you able to understand? See, this game, my idea is to make you understand step by step, right? So difficult to debug. So that's my attempt. Right? There are many videos that you can see. Understanding at our level is what is important, right? So here the bishop, before centralizing, we captured and he captured. Now, of course, he could have taken with the bishop, but he doesn't want to move the bishop again and again. So which is good move, right? Knight into c4, and then you develop the bishop attacking the knight. So now sometimes you can also develop bishop to e3, right? You can even give a check and then just castle. That is one of the ideas. Now, why castling is also okay here? Because you already pushed the pawn f4. So if the pawn gets exchanged, you get the semi-open file for your rook. So that's one of the ideas. And he castles, which is fine. Now this is very few of us really do that, right? Right in the early game. So it's just eight move. Just eight move. Games looks very balanced right now. But you see how the, I think whatever the game I have understood, right? Arjun little bit got into trouble right in the opening. And you will see that. So here it's very normal, and what we typically do, right? As I said, we give a check, but anyways now it's castle, so we can just develop bishop to e2 castle, and the game goes in a very systematic and normal way, right? Here Wei had a different plan. He was, I think, in a very attacking mood, and he decided to play h4. So it's a directly h4 because the white has black has already committed the king side castling. So white understand that, and he started with h4. Okay, the idea could be later point of time how he can open up the black king. And then yeah, this move I don't know. I mean, a6 is fine, and there must be some idea that he Arjun has thought, but really not much. Maybe he just wants to expand on the queen side, which is fine. So h4, and then yeah. So this is the idea, right? He started expanding. Ng5 is a great idea. You see, sorry, after a6, ng5, the very, very strong idea, because after ng5, you really started pushing the pressure, right? With the queen h5, and there is a strong pressure that you can come on the king side. So ng5, now, of course, he can take it, but if he takes it, right, it's good that if he takes it, you take it with the pawn, and then you get the open rook file. So let's say if he takes it, you take it, and there is open rook file, and then you go queen h5, and then I think black can come into trouble. So here, definitely he wouldn't take it. Yeah, at the most, if he wants to do, he can do something like h6, and then you need to see what to do with this knight, right? Either you retreat back and all that. So here he played f6. That is very different move. I was thinking what could be the idea, but f6 is what he said. And then with this, I think he played a into f6. But when I was seeing this game, I also looked into queen h. Sorry, I was also looking into queen h5 idea, right? Queen h5. Now this is the checkmate threat. Then what is the only thing he will do? This, and then the queen comes here. Now what is the idea of this? Is bishop to d3, and there is huge aspect, right? Of course he has these moves and all that, but I'm just saying you, right? It opens up all the light squares on the king side, and especially when the white is having the light square bishop, I think sometimes it can be very, very dangerous. All right, I hope you guys are understanding. So this is where you need to understand light square and dark square weaknesses, especially on the castle king side. It really puts you into the trouble. So anyways, so coming back to this ng5, he played f6. Why I did not play queen h5, but here he took e into f6. Now into f6, of course, he can't take with this. He doesn't really want to open up the king. So if you want to take it with the bishop, that's one, or he can take with the rook, right? Rook is also interesting idea because then when queen h5 comes, there is some chance of queen knight really protecting. And so he took with the Arjun took with the rook into f6, which is great. And then the idea queen h5, right? What we discussed little ahead after the 11th move into f6. And now if you see 12th move, which is like we are just winding up the opening phase, right? First 13, 14, 15 moves. And if you see here, it's clearly visible that white has strong attack, lots of developing, right? And the black is looks like in trouble. And if I turn the engine, right, just for your understanding, see, engine is never recommended when you analyze the game, at least for the first time, right? Use your maximum brain. But here, when you are in doubt, right, which move and why that is, then you can turn on the engine just for your own understanding. But here, if I turn on the engine, you see plus 1.3. As I said, right, the white has clear cut advantage. So here, the engine also really shows 1.3. So now what's the idea? The idea is clear, right? Queen into h7, and there is a huge pressure, right? So of course he plays h6, and now there is always a thought of this, but right now it's immediately not possible. The knight is there. So what you need to do, probably you need to do this, right? He didn't do this, but one of the ideas is take this. If he takes this, and then bishop to d3, and then of course after queen g6, what we discussed, right? And these are the ideas. But here no, I think where I did not took the knight, he had other plan. He rather put the pressure on the rook, right? And now rook, definitely, right? Rook is under attack. Now can he move the rook behind, or can he retrace the rook? Probably he can do that. There is a possibility. But again, let's say if he goes something like that, right? Just a possibility we are discussing. Then again, because he can't really go to f7, right? Because the knight into f7 is there. And if he really wants to, if he goes there, then if you see, right, there is, I think the queen to g6 with the queen into g7, right? The bishop is there. And then of course the bishop can come later if he plays something like that, capture bishop to d3, the idea that we discussed, right? And another checkmate threat is there. So here what is happening, he played, so Arjun, he knew that retreating the rook wouldn't really help. Just I will tell you, right, what happens if he retreats. And let's turn on the engine. You see, mating 4. So this is where you need to see, right? And we discuss this. This is one, and what he will do if he plays something like that, then this is immediate. Sorry, this is immediate checkmate, right? That we discuss. So all these things are there. At the most, he can do something like this, right? But this also doesn't work because now you will capture, and then you do the checkmate. So that's where, guys, rook f8 was a bad move. So he just decided, okay, let the exchange down be okay. So bishop into rook, and then bishop into bishop would have been, I think, still was okay, is what I was thinking. Engines, okay. Let's turn off the engine. Engine shows this, but I think he took with the knight. Not sure if this was a good move, but here I still feel bishop was a better bishop into this. It just what it does is psychology. I mean, I know you're attacking the queen and all that, but the queen really finds a space, right? But bishop into this, what happens? It really opens up the queen and the only thing, it is anyways this still possible, right? So I think bishop into f6 would have been better. But after this, knight into f6, so queen is attacked. Of course, queen will find a interesting space. Queen to g7, f7, queen to f6 is also idea. But queen to g7 check, and then of course this is the only move, h8. And now a brilliant sack. Now this is where the interesting sack came, right? How many? Okay, you type in the chat box. How many of you spotted this move? How many of you spotted this move where queen into f6? Difficult, right? Normally we wouldn't do that, but queen into f6 is well calculated move. After this, uh, if it takes with this, right? If it takes pawn into this, then or into bishop into it doesn't matter, then there is this 4 that is coming, right? So there is this beautiful 4, and then if he comes check, and then you can easily take the queen, and of course he takes it. Now with this, what is happening now? Let's assess the position, right? After every such 5 to 6 moves, what I recommend all of you is to stop when you're analyzing and see what the position has changed. Now if you see, white has probably 6 pawns, as you see, and the black has also 6 pawns, 1 2 3 4 5 6. But if you see, the black is exchange down because the white has 2 rooks and the black has just one. So black is exchange on. If you turn on the engine, that shows up in the +2, right? That's how. So every 5 moves, my recommendation when you analyze, just slow down, see the position, and make some sense out of it. What has happened in last 5 moves, right? That's how your game will improve. So castle, where castle on the queen side. Yeah. What is the idea of this move? Who can tell me? You type in the chat box what is the idea of f5. I'm looking into the chat boxes. Yeah, Blue, Rathod, Senorita, Akshay, Nihal. What is the idea of f5? You can type in the chat box. Can you guys type in the chat box f5? Anybody got any clue? Okay, chalo. ठीक है. So f5 is just open up the bishop, right? Open up the bishop in this strong diagonal. That's a very interesting move that he played f5. And then now with f5, basically now the king is really weak. But here with queens are traded, right? So here there is a very interesting move that is g4. But g4 he can't play it yet, right? So what probably you can do, bishop to e2 and then g4. And I think we exactly did that, right? And then Arjun came up with an interesting move, bishop into, so bishop to c7. Now before you do that, I think we protected this, right? Rook to f1 is what we see. He just protected, which is fine. And then he started expanding on b5, right? On the queen side b5. The idea is this, because if you see, he plays this and there is really no, after he plays b5 4, you really don't have any good square, right, for the knight. So there is somewhere you have to really stop that. So what would you play, guys, here? What would you play here? Hi, Vaibhav. Good evening. Yeah, so here, what would you play, guys? Guys, you can like the stream as well, as if you find this analysis interesting. So why he played b5? Chalo, quickly. I'm looking into the chat boxes. What is the idea of b5? To really trap the knight. Then how do you stop that? Very simple. Yeah, correct. No, pawn is already on a2, a3. Perfect. So a simple move, right? You play a3 and you really stop that, right? Otherwise, it's disturbing for the knight, which is fine. And then he develops his last piece. Again, the idea is very clear, right? It's a pawn to d4 and open up the bishop. So now, guys, the Arjun, even though he's exchange down, but if you really observe, and I keep talking about in my classes, right, how the double bishop advantage, especially when the center is open. Now these two bishops can be a monster, and you have no idea, right? I have seen many games where the two bishops, even though exchange down, it really brings up the game, right? And this game will also show you, I think, the element of it. So there is a double bishop advantage. So keep these points, right? Some of the important point we discuss in this analysis. Why double bishop advantage is important in game? Because the bishops become like the rocket, the Diwali rocket, right? You control both the diagonals strongly wherever the bishop is center is open. So here and then, yeah, g4 is what, sorry. So g4 is the aspect that we discuss. And then of course he doesn't want to take that. If he takes it, right, it's very interesting for the white. I think this pawn is a very big weakness, and then the rook can come, and there can be tremendous pressure that will come. And the bishop has become monster. H5, he controls this important diagonal. So he didn't really bother to take it, but this is an interesting move, right? He activated his last piece. In the end game, now it's an end game, right? The queens are off the board, the lots of pieces are exchanged. All you need to do, activate your king and the all the pieces which are really not developed. This is one thing I have seen many beginners, they don't have this. They play with their own material, what is outside. No. What you need to do, look into every piece whether they're active. So you need to bring. So Arjun exactly did that. Yeah, so he did. It was a very simple idea. Take it, and if he takes it, the bishop really becomes strong, right? In both the diagonal, he takes it, which is fine. And then the bishop goes to h5, right? Bishop goes to h5. What is the idea? He really doesn't want him to come inside, and also this strong diagonal which is controlling. So that is the bishop h5. This is the interesting move, right? And also bishop to h2 idea, I'll tell you what could be another idea is to activate. See, after he takes this, why bishop to h5 is again important. Look at this knight. What this knight is doing, he can't really go here. He can't go here. He can't go here. He doesn't want to go here. I mean, of course, he can go like this. But then another activating of the knight could be to e2 followed by d4. But for that, the bishop has to move. So that's one of the reasons also bishop to h5 with the idea of certainly this to put pressure, or he can also come here and put the pressure. That is the idea. Okay, understand the idea. Whichever pieces are not really doing anything, your job is to find how you can make them active. So bishop to h5 is one of the idea. Wow. So he exactly, now Arjun is just trying to see how we can really create little bit pressure. Where is calm guy, he's very calm. You look at his YouTube videos, right, and the way he plays even under time pressure. And I saw this game, he was continuously under 30 seconds, 5 seconds, 2 seconds. And here anyways both are 2 minutes, but the way he played, right, absolutely calm and composed. So when you see YouTube videos, in case you see, rather than just watching the game and understand technical part which you should see how they sit like this, calm, composed. That's the sign of this very high level players. Okay. Okay, so pawn comes to e3 or d3, and I think one of the, I think where here he made, I don't know, shall I call a mistake? But I think this idea was good. And I know there is a check and you can always go. And now there is exchange of the rook that can happen. Okay, exchange because there is a knight attack. Now he has to do, right? If he moves the knight, for example, just a second. Then rook into rook, bishop into, and the rook really gets exchanged. Whether that is interesting to do, no, because once the rook is gone, the whatever, now if I turn on the engine, right, you see 3.2 and all that. So I think here, where I had that opportunity, I personally feel capture. If he captures, go, and then now there is this. So of course the knight has to move somewhere, right? And then you have brilliant rook exchange idea. But anyways, I think he did not do that. He developed the knight to g3, which is okay. He's going with his plan, right? What he discussed earlier. And then he comes supporting the pawn. Perfect. So capture. Now he captured. And anyways, Arjun actually exchanged. Arjun actually exchanged the rook, which I feel, I don't know. I personally feel rooks on the board would have given him little more opportunity to fight back. But anyway, so he take with the rook and the king has to move. You have wherever you go, right? Basically, it's the idea of gambling with the pawn. So Arjun got the pawn. Now, if you see, exchange down, definitely exchange down, but now he's a pawn up. Hmm? So that's where some satisfaction, some kind of pullback in the game for Arjun. And of course, the knight is attack. If you wanna, bishop is attack. If you wanna exchange, you can exchange. So yeah, Wei did not want to exchange the bishop immediately with the knight, but he rather wants to remove this strong bishop pair. Right? We discuss how strong bishop pair is actually dangerous, and probably as Arjun, he may not, he should not rather exchange, right? And he did not do that. He knew the power of the double bishop advantage, so he rather moved the bishop to c8, and then yeah, check, and then it's just the exchange of pieces. All right. So now if you see double bishop and rook versus bishop. So in case if Arjun really gets to give his bishop and couple of pawns for the rook, or he can give his exchange the bishop and all the pawns. And if it is rook versus bishop endgame, guys, 99% you can end up in a draw. All you need to do, right, typically what I have understood is whichever bishop you have, let's say all these pieces get straight, right, the light square bishop with this light square, and the pawns, let's say they all get traded, and we are left with only the two kings and the white rook and the black bishop. So it's a draw. How it's a draw? As long as the black makes sure that if he is dark color bishop, then the king controls all the light square, right? That's all he needs to make sure, and then the game will be draw. So that could be the thought Arjun may be having here in case he wanted to draw. Yeah, so he just came and attacked the pawn. Now this pawn can't be saved. I mean, it can be saved, but here his idea was not to do this. He said, okay, you can take the pawn, and then there is some ideas like this. Okay, so he didn't take it really, and then back to e2, And then finally he took it, and then of course the rook goes in Wei. Okay, so now there is a bishop that is attacked. So of course he has to move with a check, which is fine. And then yeah, if he takes it, then again, it's good, right? Because the rook versus bishop, but the pawns are on the board. But still, I think this is manageable. I think he has two pass pawns, dangerous pass pawns, stopping that will not be easy. And here after he played, he didn't exchange Arjun. Probably could have been exchanged, but probably he wanted to get little more space before he exchanges. So check, and then this pawn is falling by force. Whether he takes it, he did. Okay. So where now he gobble of one pawn. Now he has to just move this bishop, and these two pass pawns can be dangerous. So I think Arjun did that exactly. Now there is, of course, these two bishops will guard these two pawns, and these are the pawn. This is the pawn. Oops, sorry, guys. I'll go back. Couple of moves, yeah. So he got bishop to g3 and the king. Yeah, now here one of the aspect I want you to understand, right? As a white, let's say you're white, and then he's gonna push the pawn, so your king should get active immediately, otherwise you can be in trouble. So he activated his king and then rook. Okay, so that pawn is falling by force. And now why he took this? Because right, he has this bishop into pawn, and then it controls this, right? That is one of the ideas that he can do. So here he pushed it, he exactly took it. Now if he pushes, guys, in case he pushes, it's not good because this and the bishop is gone, right? That is the idea. So after this he moved the king away so that it becomes to unpin, so that the pawn can really go, and then he took it. That's the only good move. Otherwise, that pawn was unstoppable. So took it, and now if you see double bishop versus rook and two pawns, I think it's very solid for the white uh, psychologically, right? If you see that there are two pawns and a rook versus two bishops, now we think the white is winning, and ideally, in many cases, if you don't know how to use bishop, that is also true. But here comes the double bishop advantage, and now you see the game. Yeah, he started pushing. That's normal move. So he comes, attacks. The rook has to go back, and then yeah. So now again, I said, right, if there are two pawns, if you are black, you need to activate the king, guys, to really take care of this later point of time. Your king should not be on this part of the wood. Nothing really happening. You need to understand. You need to really start moving the king to take care of these two pawns later on. So he pushed it fine, and then he activated his king. Super. And then the rook. Okay, yeah. So he activated his king. I think that's okay. He could have also started pushing this side. So he went on that side, and yeah, this is fine. Check, and then he goes, and the pawn goes. Fantastic. So now the two pawns are slowly advancing, and of course, it's the more they advance, the better for the white, and black gets into trouble. So now immediately he found Arjun played this. So now if you see these two bishops really smartly controlling the advancement of this pawn, that's what that is interesting things that is happening. So Golden Hours Diary, who, okay, if you can type your name. So he just played to bishop to b3, the two bishop power. Again, I really want to emphasize how these two bishops are really becoming dangerous. And then he plays rook to f4. Yeah, he just wants to be here, right? Just to protect the pawn. Now he has to activate his king somehow and put more pressure. He did that on the king b7. Rook goes here, right? He comes and check, and now he has to be careful, right? Here, see, if you don't think and all that, here, let's say for example, black plays king to b6, king to b7. Tell me the move, guys. If white, what will you play? I'm looking into the chat box. I want everybody to find this move real quick. White to play here. What will you play as a white? Everybody, this is the position. What will you play as a white? Come on. Simple. Nihal, Ultimate, Vaibhav, Senorita, Akshay. What will you play here? Golden's Diary. Come on, guys. White to play. What is the move? If he plays king to b7, black is gone. Game over. How? Nihal, well done. Bang on. Super. What else? Others. Come on. Easy move to find. Blue Rathod. Very good. Super. Nihal, Vaibhav. Well done. How about others? Yeah. Right. So here you guys have found it right. Interesting. Rook to b6. Game over, right? He goes and then you gobble up the bishop. So here you have to be clear, right? After this, so he went to king to d5, and then you again cut off the king, right? If the king comes here unnecessary, you lose the pawn. So yeah, just a waiting move. He wants to be in this diagonal, and then as a black, and then he also just avoids the check. So you have to be in this diagonal somehow, right? That's all you need to do. You can also play this. So he kept into the diagonal, and these are the sweating man. This is interesting move, right? Now he totally blocked it, which looks interesting, so that he can capture, and then the pawn, if it goes, it's a draw. So he gave a check. That's the only good move. He continued to go check. He went check and then check. And now here, of course, we didn't want to draw. He was playing for a win. So he just found a move but it's not really doing anything. And then finally, Arjun found the move, right? Take it, take it, take it. That's what he was waiting for a long time. Remember, I told you, if you're able to exchange bishop or take the two pawns, right? By giving one of the bishops, then it's a bishop versus rook endgame. That's exactly Arjun found it, right? Bishop into b4. He gave the bishop, which is fine. And now this is the typical rook versus bishop endgame. I say it's a draw as long as now the black has a dark color bishop. All you need to maintain is just maintain the uh, king in the light color. And one thing, guys, typically I have seen at least some of the students, right, that I work with. Whenever there is a queen and the rook, there is always a chance of a fork. So as a black, you have to be extremely careful that you don't end in a fork, otherwise you'll just lose the game. And then it just few moves here and there, right, and it just finally the game is a draw. Yeah. So it's a fantastic move with this draw. It was, I think, the first game. The second game, I think, if I'm not wrong, Arjun lost, and then unfortunately, guys, it's a heartbreaking for we Indians, right? That all the strong guys from India, including Gukesh, who's current world champion, everybody is out, and now I think Wei Yi, and there are four guys, right? Espinaco, and then there is, not. So all these guys are there. Now the one of the most, I mean, what if I ask you to chalo, let me take a, can I do the poll? I'll give you who are the top. Okay, so I don't know all the four guys, but I think I know definitely Vai, Espinico, there is Audrey Bay, and there is one more guy. I don't remember his name. Otherwise, I would have done the poll. Okay, I will just make a poll. Okay, so do you think AI will win the FIDE World Cup? Okay, okay, there is a poll. Can you guys see? Can you quickly type looking at this game from where and his calmness and how he really, how many of you guys think the AI can win this game? Okay, there is a poll. Do you guys see the poll there on your YouTube? You can type yes or no, and I'll keep checking. Okay, yes, everybody is typing okay, no, okay. All right, super. So there are few guys are typing yes, no. Yeah. Okay, so anyways, you keep typing it and we'll check. And now comes the puzzle type, right? At the end of our live stream, I give the puzzle to all of you. So let me bring my new screen and I'll give this puzzle. Of course, you don't need to write the answer in here, but you can write in my YouTube link. And you know, right? We will pick the guy who gives the maximum correct answer. So, guys, I want you to look at this puzzle. It's a very interesting puzzle. And here, if you see, it is white to play. So look into this and you can make a note of it. So here it is white to play and white to checkmate black key in two moves. Okay. I will keep 9:35. So I will keep 2 minutes live. Okay. If you can type it, fine. Otherwise, once we end the stream, you can type in the my YouTube comment in the comments, and I will see. It's a very interesting puzzle, very different, and some out of box thinking is required. So here it is: white to play, white to move, and checkmate black king in two moves. So can you guys type it? So we will keep this stream active till 9:37, another 2 minutes. So I'm giving you 2 minutes, Nihal, Rathod, and everybody, Webho, Blue, Rathod. So a lot of golden hours diary. So here, what do you do here? White to play, checkmate in two moves. Okay. So find the move and let's hope you find it and type it in the. Okay, Blue Rathod. Why Rathod? You're typing KC5. How the king will go to C5? I think, okay, KC5 with the idea of what? KC5, does he just capture the rook and promote with the check? No, then it's a second move. No, I think KC5 would be wrong. But good try, good try. Okay, we have 1 more minute, guys. Come on. Let me see who finds it. It is white to play. Yeah, these are the tactics that we must practice. Huh? Every day, how many puzzles you're doing at home? 25 to 30 puzzles, guys. Practice hard and see the fun of chess. Okay, so Srinath, QB1. Okay, QB1, KA3, QA1. But it's not a checkmate, right? QA1, then B into A1. So there's three move, right, Srinath? So that doesn't work. It's a three move. So we want to checkmate in two moves. Good try, but it's but it's getting checkmated in three moves. We want to checkmate in two moves. Okay. All right, guys. So 9:37, no problem. You take the screenshot of this, and it's also, you can go to again watch the video if you want to do that, and you can go to the end, and then you can type the answer in the comments. I will check that, and we will catch in the next stream with new game, or probably we'll play a game next time. Maybe rapid, instead of rapid, we'll play blitz. We'll have a lot of fun. Okay. Chalo, with this, I think 9:37. You have a wonderful evening. I'll catch you very soon. Keep practicing, keep working hard, and all the very best. Bye bye.